Do 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 do. Ba 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 bum ba 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 ba. Oh shit, that kind of ruins the moment. Hey everybody, this is David, and today I'm going to be talking about Superman, the original Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman, Margaret Kidder, directed by Richard Donner, that came out in 1978. And let's face it, this was the movie that really started the whole superhero movie genre. For a lot of directors and actors, this is one that a lot of people go back to, and some very famous directors who have directed comic book films have said that this has been an inspiration to a lot of them. For an example, Sam Raimi, who directed the Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire, was quoted saying that the Superman Christopher Reeve films, definitely, especially the first two, helped inspire the making of those Spider-Man movies. Even Christopher Nolan himself, who directed the Dark Knight trilogy, has said one of the big influences for Batman Begins was the original Superman movie, the way how that film casted its actors. They casted a large number of known actors at the time who surrounded this unknown actor, Christopher Reeve. And so we are going to be talking about it because Batman v Superman is coming out soon, and I want to talk about every Batman and Superman movie, including some really bad spin-offs that have come out throughout the years, and I thought now would be a good time to try to do it while the iron is hot, while Batman v Superman only comes out in March. I can get through all the Batman and Superman movies. At least I can try before that movie comes out. So let's get to this. What did I think of the original Superman movie starring Christopher Reeve? First of all, when you talk about Superman, you got to talk about the man himself. Christopher Reeve was a tremendous choice to play this role. I mean, today, people still think of Christopher Reeve when thinking of Superman. No matter how many actors there have been, Tom Welling, Dean Cain, Henry Cavill, Brandon Routh, no matter how many actors that came before and after, Christopher Reeve is still the actor that we think of today when thinking of Superman. He really embodies this role really well that, it's hard to forget that, man, this guy is an actor. Okay, it's not that difficult, but let's face it, he really plays it well and brings a really great energy to the role, and we love him as that character. Gene Hackman was another really good choice to play Lex Luthor. Now, I'm going to admit that Gene Hackman's take on Lex isn't my favorite version of the character. Personally, I really enjoy the more business tycoon who really screws Clark Kent, Superman, over, showing Superman, no matter how much power you have, money kind of says a lot more. And it's really cool. I just like that version of Lex a little bit more. But Gene Hackman's take is really fun too, especially for the time that this was made in. It works really well, and his play off Otis, who is his little henchman, is a lot of fun as well. Especially when he, starts verbally abusing Otis. It's always funny to me. Played by Ned Beatty. He's another great actor as well. There's a lot of great supporting cast members, and I could go on and how great each actor was in their role. I do got to talk about Glenn Ford, who played Jonathan Kent. I think he was a really strong role in this film as well. I think Jonathan Kent is a very important factor into this movie, and it's actually one of the Jonathan Kents that I think factors well into other versions. Like the Smallville version clearly took inspiration from this version of Jonathan Kent. What I like the way this Jonathan Kent teaches Clark is that no matter how much power Clark has, he's not going to be able to save everybody. And that's something that I think I agree with people about Man of Steel. The way Jonathan Kent died in that film felt a little weaker to me because Clark didn't learn that no matter how much power he has, there's going to be some things he won't be able to stop from helping people, and death is clearly a big thing that everybody's going to eventually die, and that was nature taking its course. And I'm glad the movie, I think the movie kind of took that away though when towards the end of the film when Superman, the popular scene where Superman turns the world back in time to save Lois. I think they kind of cheated there with it, but I heard that scene was like done quick because Donner was fired or something. People have to remember that Superman 1 and 2 were filmed simultaneously, so a lot of Superman 1 was all Donner, from my understanding. And Superman 2 was half Donner, half Lester, Richard Lester, who directed it. But I'll get to that one when we get to that movie. Also, of course, while talking about Superman, you gotta talk about Marlon Brando as Jor-El. I'm going to admit this, I didn't think Marlon Brando was great. He was clearly there on set for the paycheck, and that was fine. But I get why they had him in this movie. They needed a big name because he was the biggest name in the movie. Even today, when you look at that list of films, everybody knows The Godfather, and that means everybody will know who Marlon Brando was. The special effects, I'm going to admit, don't hold up for this film. The score, though, is still one of the most iconic scores that you can hear. Just like Star Wars, just like Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, all of those films, Superman is just as iconic as those ones. Why? Probably because, like most of those, John Williams did the score for this film. And, you gotta admit, John Williams is the master when it comes to making iconic movie scores. So, Superman definitely has that going for it. The action, okay, there's not too much action in this movie. It's mostly Superman just rescuing people from natural disasters or kittens stuck in trees or missiles going to destroy California. But remember, at the time, this was the very first Superman movie, and no one's seen anything quite like this before. So for a first-time film, I think it was really hitting things on the nose and did a really good job with what it was doing. Introducing people to this concept of a superhero putting on tights and saving people. I think it was really a great accomplishment for its time. With that being said, I think there's a lot of things here that people might find very dated, and that I'm going to agree with is very true. It's a very dated film, especially when you compare it to other superhero films of today, like The Avengers or Iron Man or the Dark Knight trilogy. I think comparing it to a lot of those films, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle maybe for people who aren't used to older films. But I think it's always worth checking out the classics. And Superman the movie, yeah, even though it's dated in some areas, I think there's some stuff there that still feels pretty good for today. Like, I like a lot of the stuff on Krypton. It feels very sci-fi-ish. And a lot of the stuff in Smallville feel a little bit more dramatic and humble. The stuff in Metropolis, though, that's where things go a little bit more campy, as you would say. I don't think it goes like full camp like the Adam West Batman series, but there is a little bit more campiness there. And what I mean by campiness, some people might think cheesy, but remember, this was the type of humor that was really used back then because superhero movies still weren't taken as seriously. But I think for the film itself, for the year it was made in, 1978, I think it really worked for that era. And if it was made today, obviously it would be considered a joke. But because of the era it was made in, I think it holds up. And if you put your mindset at that, then you'll appreciate it a little bit more. So guys, I am going to say I think you should all go check out Superman the movie. I think there's a lot there to really be enjoyed, especially if you're a young kid. Maybe if you're in your mid-teens, maybe a little bit older, I don't think you'll appreciate it as much unless you have love for film and want to explore that angle and see where superhero movies were originally at the beginning. So with all that being said, guys, I think I'm done here. I think I've talked about Superman. Hopefully I'll get to Superman 2 very soon. I am going to do maybe the first Michael Keaton film next. We'll see. So until next time, guys, take care.